Hi Collective, it's your girl Alex and I'm here to bring you guys a love reading. So let's see what's going on between you and the person you're connecting with. Hanged Man, Four of Wands, Two of Swords, Three of Wands, Three of Cups, Seven of Pentacles, Five of Wands, Six of Wands with the Ten of Swords under. These are my Gilded Tarot Royale deck. Someone has had a change of mind, change of heart. Kind of feels like this is something that started off happy and joyous, but maybe over time it has developed into bumping of heads and arguments, and you're trying to see if you guys are able to successfully overcome this. Well, there's conversations. Page of Swords, Ten of Pentacles. Page of Wands. Well, immaturity has set in. Come on. Eight of Pentacles. Working, focusing on the good times. Oh, okay. Ace of Swords. And Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups. So I kind of feel like there needs to be a conversation about where do we go wrong? How did we get here? You have the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Clarity, and then you have the conversational swords of the Knight of Swords and then also the Page of Swords. The Knight of Swords is dialogue. The Page of Swords is, being curious, questioning, initiating conversation, and so on. Well, there we go. King of Swords, that's Aquarius. The Fool for me is Aquarius. You got the Two of Wands, Three of Wands. Are you guys waiting to see who calls it? Now, here's what's interesting is that a bunch of pages on the table, right? We see the King of Swords. The King of Swords is, reasoning, rationale, the King of intelligence and logic and analysis, and right? So that's the smart king. Look at all these swords. Another page. Okay. So there's an issue with maturity here. And what leads me to that? Obvious. Obvious is the pages that are on a table. Okay. I only have one king here on the whole entire table. And if you also look at the table, there are not a bunch of major arcanas, right? So angels are like, we ain't got nothing to do with that. Right? You on this side, you just have the strength. That's the only major arcana here. No major arcanas in the middle. You have the fool, the hanged man and the fool. So there are only three major arcanas on the table. So whatever this situation is, it has a lot to do with free will. It has a lot to do with the human condition and things at the human level. When we talk about things at the human level, mind, logic, intelligence, emotion, feelings, memories, right? Psychological conditioning, stuckedness, or somebody's stuck in their own ways. So I kind of feel like all of that's at play. Angels are saying, now, baby, look at the major arcanas now. We have the Hanged Man, which is, kind of trying to find a different perspective or, placing yourself in another perspective. Okay. Then we have the Fool. Now, the Fool has dual meaning. The Fool is you don't know shit. You ain't got shit. You ain't been nowhere. You ain't talked to nobody. Right? The Fool has everything to do with nothingness. starting from a clean slate, not having a lot of experience. And then we have the strength card. The strength has everything to do with, you know what? If you's a fire sign and I'm a water sign, right? We two complete opposites. But guess what? I'm not going to try to boil your pot, and just please make sure you don't try to drown me out, right? So I absolutely absolutely feel like in this particular situation, you guys can't even get to the relationship goals because you're too busy dealing with each other, right? And each other's inner children, each other's emotions, emotional body, right? Look, Three of Wands, you both are curious about where it's going, right? If you're gonna get what you want. That's my country accent, even though no, I could say I've been here for a while. But anyway, um, so you're both waiting for maybe communication from the other. You both could be waiting for that communication that says, you know what, we need to level set the playing field. We need to regroup. Hey, let's take some time. Right? Somebody's waiting for this King of Swords to make the decision. Oh, again, there's a lot of immaturity on the table. So I feel like somebody in their immature ways could preliminary, is that the right word? Preliminarily? That's not a word. Somebody may decide to jump the gun and call it because they don't want to be rejected or they don't want to start an argument. It's like, hey, let's just, go our separate ways. Let's come together. Let's pipe down. Somebody's looking for the other person to be the authority, to say the thing that needs to be said to get this thing in motion or to get you guys the hell away from each other. Ooh, okay. Now, in the outcome position, it does kind of feel like you're able to overcome at least whatever the dissension is. However you're disagreeing, however you're not gelling, however you're bumping heads, being stingy, I don't know what it is, right? Whatever that is. It looks as though you overcome it. But what I just also heard is, but did you? Is someone being what is the term? They're holding a grudge. They're holding on to it, right? See, that's the problem with sweeping things under the rug. Because when you sweep them under the rug, especially if it's dusty and dirty to begin with, once you sweep it under the rug, all you're doing is preserving the dust and dirt. So I do have the Ace of Swords here and the Seven of Cups. Arguments. There is confusion here that's causing some arguments. And at the end of the day, I feel like the confusion is exactly that. Lack of cups, right? Look at the table. You got 3 here. You got 7 here. We pull it up in the end with the cups in the outcome position. But when we're looking at the actual table, there's confusion related to cups, emotions, feelings. That's why, to an extent, somebody could be at an about face or upside down or doing a whoa Nelly on this. Just simply because I know, that's so freaking cool. My angel said, well, baby, how's this person supposed to drink from a cup in the first place? So maybe somebody's perception is just off. And the person whose perception is off is Pisces. They could have air in their charts like Gemini or Aquarius. Or they could be a Gemini or Aquarius and they're thinking things and jumping to conclusions and making assumptions and, just wrongity, wrong. You know what I mean? And I feel like the angels are saying communication. Communication also includes thought. Okay. And with the Two of Swords, Ten of Pentacles, somebody does not have their eye on the prize. I'm hearing instead they have their eyes on their emotions. They have their eyes on their emotions, or if they're somebody is feeling like they won't necessarily get to their final destination, which is long-term stability. So they're at a crossroads. They're waiting right now. They're waiting to see if they hear from you. And maybe if they hear from you, you may come across and be like, hey, let's continue to go. Let's continue to go. You know, we have a good time. We love each other. I like being with you. You like being with me. You know, let's work on our issues. Let's be vulnerable. Let's have the tough conversations. Let's make it to the other side. And you would think, right? You would think that with that kind of plan in place that you guys would be able to move forward. But here's the issue right here. The Ten of Swords. Somebody is feeling betrayed, stabbed in the back, you know, down, overwhelmed, in their head. Um, yeah, I know. I'm so sick of those. Angels said they could be low on confidence, low on self-value, low on self-worth, right? Somebody to an extent is depleted, and hurt people hurt people. Argumentative people argue. So if you're resonating with this, especially if you're the person who's unsettled, if you are unsettled, your world is going to be unsettled. So, shouldn't the first thing you need to do is to level yourself out? Restabilize? Angel said, this is dumb as hell. My angel said, just because they down on the ground don't mean that that's balance, right? Even though they're laying flat on the ground and then they look even, that's not balance, baby. Let them know that's not balance. Yeah, somebody's looking for some sort of declaration, some sort of definitive statement that's going to clear up confusion and move you guys back into the cup space. My angels say, yeah, because right now there are a whole lot of swords and wands going on. Again, not a shit ton of cups, not even a shit ton of pentacles. Pentacles here are good, the 10, the 8, and the 7, right? So that is long term, right? Current, work and things being done to get something to mature, to get it over the hump, to get you guys into a Four of Wands stable place where the tower can't happen, right? Because any connection that is not on solid foundation is subject to a tower, is subject to things falling apart and things breaking down. What additional messages do we have for the collective in love? What more do y'all need to know? Yeah, Hermit, Ace of Pentacles, Two of Wands. Yeah, this has to be worth it, obviously, right? I don't know anybody who's going to invest a lot of time and energy into something long term if there is no sort of investment, right? If there's no sort of prize or goal or reward waiting for them in the end. Nine of Pentacles, Seven of Wands, Strength card. And Seven of Pentacles. So you got the double sevens. Again, the Seven of Pentacles is waiting for something to mature. But I don't know if you're going to get there. I don't know there's a high return on investment. But again, I think it's how someone is looking at this, right? So at the end of the day, if say I'm in a relationship with somebody, long-term goals is to get to at least 115 years old. Okay. In order to get Alex to 115 15 years old, you can't raise my blood pressure. You can't stress me out. You got to love my earlobes off. You got to support me. You got to be understanding. You got to be flexible. You got to be great in bed. Yes, at 90 and 115, right? And, in other words, there has to be value there for you. And right now, I feel like you're questioning whether or not there is valuable in whatever this situation is. You're questioning whether or not there's value there. Now, let me be clear. Value for you, okay? As in, will your goals and, your needs and wants be delivered, right? Will somebody be able to give you what you want and or need? I feel like for a lot of you right now, you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And for some of you, you're going to get tired of waiting and you're going to about face. All right, my collective boo-boo. Personal readings are open if you like to book a personal session with me. The link is in the description. They are live. You get to hear my pretty, wonderful, amazing voice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. If the reading resonates, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hype, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.